Aries. Bold, fearless, and sometimes they just don't play fair. But why? What makes this fiery sign go above and beyond in the pursuit of success, even if it means breaking the rules along the way? Are they ruthless? Or is there something deeper at play? If you've ever been intrigued by the unapologetic energy that Aries brings into every room, or if you've found yourself trying to understand the fierce fire that drives them, then you're in the right place. In this video, we're going to unravel the savage truth behind Aries, why they often defy the norms, how they use their unrelenting drive to conquer challenges, and the hidden psychology behind their play-to-win mentality. Trust me, Aries isn't just about being bold, it's about an unwavering belief that the world is theirs to claim, no matter the cost. And here's the thing, this isn't just about understanding Aries, it's about understanding the powerful traits they embody that can also apply to your own life. Whether you're an Aries yourself or just curious about the traits that make them stand out, this video will open your eyes to how Aries can teach us all something about resilience, ambition, and the art of doing what it takes to get ahead. Before we dive into it, make sure to hit the subscribe button, like this video, and share it with anyone who might find this cosmic insight helpful. Now, let's get into it. There's something about Aries that sets them apart from the rest of the zodiac. They have this raw, unapologetic energy that can be both captivating and intimidating. The way they move through the world, with such intensity and purpose, often makes them seem like they're not playing by the rules. And that's exactly it, Aries don't play fair. But is that a flaw, or is it a secret ingredient for their success? If you've ever encountered an Aries, whether a fiery friend, a passionate colleague, or even in your own reflection as an Aries yourself, you've likely noticed something. When they go after something, they don't stop. The relentless pursuit of their goals can sometimes make them seem ruthless, but that's just how they're wired. They're built for battle, and life is the battlefield they choose to conquer. Take Serena Williams, for example. Her career is filled with moments where she's not only pushed the limits of her sport but has also played with an edge that others find difficult to replicate. It's not that she's doing anything unfair per se, but there's a drive that's so fierce that it leaves others in the dust. Aries athletes, entrepreneurs, and leaders all share this same fire, this need to win at all costs, even if the world doesn't quite understand the journey. For Aries, it's not just about winning, it's about proving their worth. This deep-seated desire to be the best comes from their core need for validation. They want to be seen as capable, strong, and independent. But this desire can also drive them to bulldoze their way through challenges, leaving little room for doubt. There's a savage truth about Aries, they're willing to take risks that others wouldn't dare. And they'll do it without apology. It's this quality that leads to their impulsive nature. Aries don't take the time to sit back and wait for things to happen, they make them happen. Right now. Ever seen someone dive headfirst into a new project without any hesitation? That's an Aries move. They don't wait for permission, they just do. And while this leads to incredible success stories, it can also create chaos. It's like setting fire to a path and racing down it without looking back. The heat is intense, but the reward? Immeasurable. However, this drive for immediate results can come at a price. In their haste to win, Aries often doesn't think of the consequences. This is why relationships, work environments, and even their own mental health can suffer at times. They need to learn that not every battle is worth fighting. And sometimes, slowing down could lead to even better outcomes. It's a tough pill to swallow, but Aries thrives when they're willing to acknowledge that patience doesn't make them weak, it makes them wiser. Now, let's talk about Aries' tendency to be blunt, sometimes to the point of being brutally honest. Have you ever had an Aries tell you exactly what they think, no filter, no sugarcoating? You might have felt the sting. But if you were paying attention, you'd notice that it wasn't personal. It was just the truth, as they see it. Aries don't see the point in playing games with words. They'd rather cut straight to the chase. But here's the thing, this honesty isn't meant to hurt. It's simply their way of dealing with the world, directly and without pretense. However, this no-filter attitude can cause friction, especially when someone else isn't ready for the truth. Think of a situation at work where your Aries colleague called out the inefficiency in a plan that no one else had the guts to address. Sure, it was uncomfortable. But would the project have turned out better if no one had spoken up? Sometimes, Aries' harsh truths are exactly what's needed to spark change. Still, there's a balance to strike. If you're an Aries, or someone who loves an Aries, remember that there's a way to deliver that honesty with compassion, without leaving a trail of emotional destruction. Their ability to act without hesitation often extends into their relationships as well. Aries don't wait for signals, they go after what they want with unwavering confidence. This means that in romance, they can sometimes come off as possessive or overly assertive. They're not just looking for love, they're looking to claim it. While this intense energy can be thrilling in the early stages of a relationship, it can also be overwhelming. Aries need to remember that love isn't a conquest, it's a partnership. Their instinct to dominate should be balanced with a willingness to nurture and support their partner. When Aries learn to share power rather than take it all, they create relationships that last. But let's be real, this is tough. Aries' need for independence and control can make them resistant to compromise. They'll often push their partner into the background to make sure their vision is realized. This dynamic is where many Aries face their greatest challenge. The savage truth here is that love, like any other part of life, requires both fierce energy and tenderness. Aries can dominate a room, but can they soften their approach in their closest relationships? It's not just in love or business where Aries' willingness to go to extremes shows up. It's also in their interactions with the world around them. Aries can be seen as bullies at times, not because they intend to harm, but because they want to assert their strength and make an impact. But remember, this aggression is just a reflection of their inner world, a place where they've always had to fight to survive. Life hasn't been easy for them, and they carry that weight with them, whether they show it or not. When Aries fights, they fight to win. But it's important for Aries to recognize that not every battle is theirs to fight. Sometimes, letting go of a fight, stepping down from an argument, or allowing someone else to take the lead can actually show strength in ways that forceful domination never will. The real savage truth is that true power lies not in always being in control, but in knowing when to let go. And that's where Aries truly shines, their ability to bounce back from failure. If they take a hit, they get up, dust themselves off, and keep going. It's this resilience that allows them to outlast others who may give up at the first sign of defeat. But in this relentless pursuit of success, Aries must learn that failure doesn't have to be a bad thing. In fact, it can be a valuable lesson. The savage truth is, Aries often learns best through trial and error. Their willingness to fail and fail forward is what keeps them on top, even when others might crumble under pressure. Now, as you've started to see, there's much more to Aries than their savage reputation. Their confidence, their drive, their fierce independence, they're all pieces of the puzzle that make them who they are. But if they can temper these qualities with patience, understanding, and empathy, they can unlock a level of success that's not just personal but transformative. Because the ultimate truth is this, Aries might not always play fair. But in their journey of constant self-discovery, they're teaching us all how to take charge of our own destinies. And this is just the beginning. Stay tuned as we dive deeper into how Aries can refine their power and turn their unfair tactics into strategies for lasting success. You won't want to miss what's coming next. As we dig deeper into the fierce nature of Aries, one of the most striking features of this sign is their refusal to back down, no matter the cost. The battle is never over for them. They are warriors at heart, constantly driven by an unrelenting need to prove themselves, not just to others, but to themselves. When an Aries takes on a challenge, it's as if they've already decided they will win, and the path to victory is their battleground. There's no such thing as a halfway approach for Aries, they go all in or they don't play at all. Take the story of Elon Musk, for instance. Musk's journey from founding Zip2 to becoming the CEO of Tesla and SpaceX is one that shows just how far Aries will go to reach their goals. Known for his boldness and visionary ideas, Musk faced countless obstacles, financial hurdles, technological setbacks, and personal attacks, but he never backed down. Each failure only fueled his determination. The savage truth here is that Aries' refusal to back down, even in the face of overwhelming odds, is what often propels them to unimaginable heights. This stubbornness may come off as arrogance to others, but it's actually a reflection of their deep desire to forge their own path, regardless of the consequences. If you're an Aries or someone who works closely with one, the lesson here is clear: don't let setbacks define you. Learn from them, adapt, and come back stronger. The true power of Aries is their resilience. But it's essential to balance that persistence with a willingness to adjust. Sometimes, the path to success is not linear, and understanding when to pivot can be just as important as charging forward. Success, for Aries, isn't just about winning, it's about staying in the fight long enough to learn and grow. Then there's their complete disregard for fairness, especially when it comes to competition. Aries are known to play by their own set of rules. If the game doesn't seem fair, they'll change the rules or just refuse to follow them altogether. This can be seen in the world of sports, where Aries athletes often redefine the boundaries of what's possible. Serena Williams, once again, offers us a glimpse of this Aries spirit. Her career has been marked by relentless tenacity, but it's her ability to break through barriers that truly defines her. Whether it was her comeback after maternity leave or her dominance on the court, Serena has shown us that when the system seems stacked against you, Aries will find a way to bend it to their advantage. This ability to manipulate the rules isn't always about malice. It's a strategy for success. Aries understand that sometimes, the playing field isn't level, and to win, you must be willing to challenge the status quo. But this is where things can get tricky. While this trait can drive success, it can also alienate others. Aries might not always understand why their approach is seen as unfair. In fact, they often believe that they're simply being true to themselves. However, there's a fine line between pushing the limits and disregarding the impact of your actions on others. Aries needs to recognize that there's strength in playing fair and, sometimes, strength in letting others shine as well. Of course, Aries is also known for their tendency to manipulate situations to their advantage. While this may sound negative, it's not always a bad thing. Aries are natural-born leaders. They understand the dynamics of power and how to use their influence to get what they want. But there's a caveat to this. If used incorrectly, Aries' assertiveness can be perceived as manipulation, especially when they start to push others aside to get ahead. This is a classic Aries move fast. Take charge, and if necessary, bulldoze through obstacles. It's the win-at-all-costs mentality that Aries embraces. But here's where it gets interesting. As much as Aries loves to be in control, they often forget the emotional intelligence that comes with leading others. Leadership is about guiding, inspiring, and empowering those around you, not just dominating every situation. Aries needs to understand that leadership is not about pushing people into submission, it's about inspiring them to follow your vision. In the workplace, this can be a challenge. Aries might find themselves at the top of the ladder, but their tendency to bulldoze over colleagues can create tension. If you're an Aries, you might have encountered situations where you've had to ask yourself if you've been too aggressive in your approach. The trick here is to harness that natural leadership energy, but channel it in a way that encourages collaboration and growth for everyone involved. Leadership is about creating a team, not just a solo mission. This doesn't mean abandoning your innate drive, it means learning to adapt and grow alongside others. Aries' directness also plays a huge role in their relationships. And here's where things can get a bit wild. Aries doesn't do subtleties or sugarcoating. If they like you, they'll let you know. If they don't, they won't hesitate to make that clear either. They don't waste time with mind games, and they certainly don't believe in beating around the bush. In relationships, this can come off as refreshing and exciting, but also intimidating. This bluntness is one of the reasons why Aries is so magnetic. Their authenticity is intoxicating. However, it's not always well received, especially by more sensitive signs. Imagine an Aries coming into a new romantic relationship. From the moment they're interested, they're already planning the future. Thinking about long-term commitment and deciding how they can make it work. Aries doesn't waste time trying to figure things out gradually, they dive in headfirst. The intensity of this approach can be overwhelming for partners who are not on the same wavelength. However, if you can keep up with Aries, there's an undeniable passion and drive that makes the relationship feel electric. But there's a catch. While Aries is known for their unfiltered emotions, this same honesty can sometimes come across as possessiveness. In their relationships, Aries tends to take ownership, not in a malicious way, but because they deeply want to invest in their partner. However, this desire for commitment can sometimes veer into controlling behaviors. Aries needs to remember that love isn't about possession, it's about partnership. The key here is finding balance, knowing when to give space and when to embrace fully. Aries must learn that love is an exchange, not a conquest. What's truly fascinating about Aries is their ability to move on from mistakes. Aries don't dwell on failure, they bounce back almost instantly. And this, perhaps more than any other trait, is what makes them unstoppable. Their resilience is unmatched. When others crumble under pressure, Aries thrives. Take the example of Kobe Bryant. Another Aries. Even after facing injuries that could have ended his career, Kobe came back time and again, showing the world that failure was just a stepping stone to his next victory. Aries never stay down for long. But there's a danger here too. Aries' tendency to move on so quickly can make them overlook the lessons that come from failure. They may brush off mistakes without fully processing them. It's important for Aries to take a moment and reflect on their missteps, rather than simply charging forward without addressing the root cause. Failure isn't something to be feared, it's a tool for growth. And understanding why something didn't work out is just as crucial as learning how to make it work next time. Through all these traits, unrelenting ambition, manipulation of rules, bluntness, possessiveness, and resilience, there lies a deeper truth. Aries doesn't just play to win, they play to grow, to evolve, and to prove to themselves that they can overcome any obstacle in their way. While their approach may seem savage, it's that very savagery that propels them forward. If Aries can harness this wild energy, refine their methods, and learn from their experiences, they'll achieve greatness in ways that no other sign can. But don't expect Aries to ever play by the rules. They're not here to follow, they're here to lead. And whether you love them or not, there's no denying that Aries brings a force to the table that demands respect. When it comes to Aries, their pursuit of success is relentless. No matter the cost, no matter the consequences, they will keep pushing forward. If you've ever been in a room with an Aries, you've felt it, their powerful energy, their fiery ambition. It's contagious. But behind that drive is a mindset that doesn't stop at just playing the game, it changes the game altogether. Consider the story of Jeff Bezos, an Aries who revolutionized the way we shop and even think about business. In the early days of Amazon, Bezos took risks that most people wouldn't dare to take. He made choices that seemed illogical at the time, building an empire based on the belief that technology could radically transform retail. And yet, he faced years of skepticism. People said Amazon would never make it. Yet, Bezos continued to ignore the doubt and criticism, marching forward with unwavering determination. This unrelenting drive, a hallmark of the Aries personality, led him to completely alter an industry, and today, Amazon is the powerhouse we know. But in that same relentless pursuit of success, there's a tendency for Aries to bulldoze anything or anyone standing in their way. That's the harsh truth. Aries doesn't care about being liked. They care about one thing: winning. And sometimes, that means taking an approach that others see as unfair. It's this single-minded focus that can make them incredibly effective but also a little bit dangerous. Aries needs to learn that not every battle is worth fighting, and the world isn't as simple as a series of victories. Sometimes, choosing not to fight can make them stronger, more grounded, and more respected. For Aries, the sense of entitlement is not an arrogant flaw, it's a result of their intense desire to be the best. They expect to be noticed, to be recognized, and most importantly, to succeed. And if success doesn't come easily, they will keep going, fighting tooth and nail. This relentless pursuit often leads them to push boundaries. Sometimes they push too hard. While it's admirable to strive for greatness, Aries has to understand that not every goal is worth the cost of alienating those around them. The true challenge lies in recognizing when to scale back, to allow others to lead, and to offer support instead of simply dominating. And that leads to another critical aspect of Aries: their all-or-nothing approach. This isn't just about how they fight for success, it's how they live their lives. They don't dabble in anything. They either commit fully or they walk away. It's a zero-sum game for them. You see this trait in action all the time, whether it's in the business world, love, or personal projects. It's part of what makes Aries such fierce competitors, but also what makes them unpredictable. Their intensity can be both a blessing and a curse. Take a moment to think about an Aries who is starting a new business or a personal project. You'll see that they throw themselves into it completely, leaving no room for doubt. There's no room for hesitation. They will either succeed spectacularly or they will fail, and they won't be ashamed to fail. That's the thing with Aries: failure isn't a shame to them. It's just a stepping stone. If you've ever worked with an Aries, you know that the moment they encounter a challenge, they don't take a break or hesitate. They take immediate action, fully committing to the next step with or without the assurance that it will work. However, this all-or-nothing mindset can create a roller coaster of emotions for them and those around them. When things are going well, everything feels like it's on fire in the best way possible. But when Aries faces setbacks, the fall can be just as dramatic. This is why it's essential for Aries to balance their powerful energy with a sense of perspective. It's great to dive deep into your goals, but it's also crucial to take a step back, breathe, and evaluate whether you're putting too much pressure on yourself or others. The key lesson for Aries here is moderation, not just in work, but in relationships, finances, and health as well. Aries' impulsive nature adds another layer to their already complex personality. They act first, think later. This is the hallmark of Aries: they leap before they look. This doesn't mean they're thoughtless, rather, it's that they trust their instincts above all else. And while intuition is an essential trait, Aries can sometimes take it too far. They make bold moves without considering the consequences, and the aftermath is often chaotic. But it's this very impulsiveness that allows them to seize opportunities others might shy away from. Take the case of Richard Branson, another Aries who embraced impulsiveness as his greatest strength. Branson's career has been a series of leaps of faith, from launching Virgin Records to skydiving around the world. He built an empire on the back of calculated risks and reckless optimism. While his impulsive decisions have certainly paid off, there are moments when Branson, too, faced the consequences of his quick decisions. The key takeaway here is that while impulsiveness can bring results, it also brings risk. Aries should ask themselves, am I acting out of intuition, or is this just an impulse that I'll regret later? Here's where Aries can benefit from slowing down and taking a moment to think through their choices. While they may feel the need to act quickly, especially in the face of competition, they must recognize that sometimes the best course of action is to pause, evaluate, and make a calculated move. Impulse can be a superpower, but only if it's used wisely. Aries can learn that the most powerful moves are often the ones that come from deep contemplation, not just a moment of urgency. Their honesty, brutally so at times, also becomes one of the reasons Aries is misunderstood. When Aries speaks, they do so from the heart, and while their words are often raw and unfiltered, they aren't meant to harm. However, this can create tension in personal and professional relationships. Aries' words can sometimes be perceived as harsh or insensitive. What they fail to realize is that their honesty doesn't always translate well to those who are more sensitive or who don't appreciate bluntness. It's essential for Aries to recognize the impact of their words and to temper their bluntness with empathy. Think about a time when an Aries may have told someone something they didn't want to hear, but it turned out to be for their own good. While Aries' honesty can be incredibly valuable in many situations, it's important to remember that not everyone can handle that level of directness. So, while Aries should always stay true to themselves, learning to adjust their approach based on the needs and sensitivities of others is a key skill for emotional growth. Love for an Aries is equally intense. It's not just about finding a partner, it's about forging an unbreakable bond. But with that comes a possessiveness that can be overwhelming. Aries' desire to claim what's theirs can sometimes be mistaken for control. They don't just want someone to love, they want someone who will join them in their journey, without hesitation or resistance. In relationships, this can create a dynamic where Aries wants to lead and drive the relationship forward. However, this can sometimes clash with a partner's need for independence. If you're in a relationship with an Aries, it's important to recognize this dynamic and find a balance. An Aries needs space to lead and take charge, but they also need to give their partner space to grow. The best relationships for Aries are those where both partners can be independent, yet come together in moments of mutual understanding. Aries needs to recognize that true partnership isn't about control, it's about respect and shared growth. Finally, Aries has the ability to bounce back from setbacks faster than any other sign. When life knocks them down, they don't stay down for long. This resilience is one of the most powerful traits of Aries. But there's a catch: Aries sometimes ignores the lessons failure offers, simply moving on without fully understanding what went wrong. This is where they need to shift their focus, as failing doesn't just mean trying harder next time, it means learning, reflecting, and adapting. Understanding failure as a process of growth, rather than a setback, is a powerful tool for Aries to not only become stronger but to achieve lasting success. Aries are unstoppable when they channel their energy wisely. Their drive, while intense, can become their greatest asset if they learn when to push, when to step back, and when to let others lead. They may not always play fair, but that's part of their power. If they can master the balance between raw ambition and empathy, Aries will find that not only will they win, but they'll inspire others to rise with them. And that's when the real magic happens. Aries, the sign known for its fierce determination, unfiltered honesty, and relentless drive. But there's another side to Aries that most people don't see. The side where their strength and power sometimes translate into behaviors that may seem unfair or even harsh. This final section delves into the deeper, more subtle truths about Aries, and how their strengths can often be their weaknesses if left unchecked. It's important to understand that Aries isn't out to hurt anyone. They don't intend to be ruthless or manipulative, but their competitive, fiery nature sometimes pushes them to act without considering the emotional impact on others. Aries, driven by a need to win and prove themselves, can sometimes forget the value of playing fair. They want to be on top, and they will do what it takes to get there, even if it means bending the rules a little. This desire to come out on top doesn't always stem from a place of malice. It's rooted in their need to feel validated. Aries wants to be seen as capable, strong, and independent. And when they don't receive that recognition, it can trigger their impulsive nature to do whatever it takes to get noticed. This can lead to actions that others might see as unfair, but for Aries, it's just part of the game. Take the case of Tony Robbins, the well-known motivational speaker and self-help guru. Tony's rise to fame was marked by his ability to push boundaries and break through barriers. While his teachings have empowered millions, his path to success hasn't been without controversy. Robin's approach has sometimes been seen as aggressive or manipulative. He doesn't hold back when it comes to getting people to change their lives. His success came not just from his motivational speeches but from his ability to break through the walls people had built around themselves, even if it meant being bold and blunt. This is where Aries finds themselves at odds with other people. Their need to win, be the best, and take control often rubs others the wrong way. And because they tend to speak their minds without worrying about the consequences, they sometimes leave behind emotional wreckage. Aries, if you're listening, here's the advice. While it's important to chase your goals with everything you've got, remember that true strength is also shown in how you make others feel along the way. Success doesn't just come from winning battles, it comes from how you build relationships and create meaningful connections. The next time you're faced with a decision, ask yourself, how will this impact those around me? Recognizing that not every fight is worth fighting will make you an even stronger leader and a more respected figure in your field. When Aries doesn't get what they want, or when they feel challenged, they don't back down. They don't settle for mediocrity, and they definitely don't accept defeat easily. Aries will fight to the very end, even if that means playing dirty. And sometimes, this can cause friction in relationships, both personal and professional. The fiery, aggressive approach they take to life can make them seem like they're always on the attack. Their passion for their goals blinds them to how others perceive their methods, leaving behind a wake of frustration. In a workplace setting, for instance, Aries' competitiveness can sometimes turn into aggression. They want to be recognized as the best, and they'll do what it takes to climb the ladder, even if it means stepping on a few toes. It's not that Aries means to hurt anyone, but their desire to be the best sometimes comes across as uncaring or overly aggressive. It's not uncommon for an Aries to enter a meeting with a laser-focused agenda, ready to steamroll over anyone who stands in their way. While this energy can propel them to the top, it can also alienate the very people they need to collaborate with. If you're an Aries, consider taking a step back and thinking about how your actions affect the people around you. Ask yourself, am I pushing too hard? Am I considering the feelings and perspectives of others? Aries has an amazing ability to take charge and get things done, but the real challenge is learning how to balance that with empathy and understanding. Leaders don't just rise by winning alone, they rise by lifting others with them. Leadership comes not just from achieving greatness, but from helping others achieve greatness as well. So, while you're busy conquering your next goal, take the time to recognize and appreciate the team behind you. You'll find that success is even more meaningful when it's shared. Another key aspect of Aries that plays into their unfair nature is their pride. Aries is ruled by Mars, the planet of action, aggression, and war, which gives them an almost unmatched confidence in their own abilities. But this confidence can sometimes cross into arrogance. Aries rarely admits when they're wrong. They don't like to be vulnerable, and they don't like to back down. To an Aries, saying sorry can feel like admitting weakness. This pride can make Aries seem inflexible, rigid, and unwilling to consider other perspectives. And while it's important to maintain confidence in yourself, Aries must also recognize that admitting mistakes is a sign of strength, not weakness. Think of how many successful entrepreneurs and leaders have fallen due to their refusal to adapt or admit their mistakes. Bill Gates, for example, was once a dominant force in the software world with Microsoft, but it wasn't until he acknowledged the rise of the internet and shifted his focus that he truly evolved as a businessman. Aries can be stubborn in their ways, believing their path is the only one that works. But if they are unwilling to acknowledge where they've gone wrong, they risk missing out on opportunities for growth. The advice for Aries here is simple: don't let your pride prevent you from seeing other possibilities. Yes, be confident in yourself and your abilities, but also be humble enough to learn from your experiences and the people around you. True leaders aren't just the ones who charge ahead, headstrong, they're the ones who know when to step back, assess, and pivot when necessary. If you can do this, Aries, you'll find that your leadership becomes even more effective and respected by others. Aries are also known for their spontaneity and their impulsive nature. They tend to jump into things without fully thinking them through, trusting their instincts rather than planning out every detail. While this impulsiveness can lead to exciting adventures and bold moves, it can also lead to mistakes and regret. Take, for example, the decision of many Aries to start a business or pursue a passion without considering all the practical implications. It's an Aries trait to act first and deal with the consequences later. Richard Branson is once again a prime example of this kind of impulsive thinking. From skydiving to starting Virgin Records, Branson's life has been filled with spontaneous decisions that defied logic. But these impulsive moves paid off. In fact, it's his willingness to take risks and leap into the unknown that has defined his career. However, it's important to note that not all impulsive decisions result in success. Some risk-taking ventures can end in failure, and Aries must learn to differentiate between calculated risks and reckless moves. For Aries, the key to making impulsiveness work for them is to add a layer of foresight. It's great to act on instinct, but take a moment to evaluate the potential outcomes before making a move. Ask yourself, is this decision aligned with my goals? Am I fully prepared for what could come next? A little bit of planning can turn Aries' natural impulsiveness into a superpower, allowing them to take bolder risks while minimizing potential downsides. Lastly, let's talk about relationships. When Aries love, they love with intensity. They are fiercely loyal, passionate, and completely all in when it comes to their partners. But this intensity can sometimes be overwhelming. Aries want to connect deeply, but they also want to be in control. In relationships, this can lead to power struggles, as Aries struggles to balance their independence with the need for intimacy. Aries can sometimes find it hard to let their guard down and allow others to take the lead. Their independence is so important to them that it can create barriers in their closest relationships. However, this doesn't mean that Aries can't have meaningful, fulfilling relationships. The key is learning how to compromise. Aries needs to understand that love is a two-way street. It's not always about having control, but about sharing the journey with someone. Learning to share the lead, rather than always taking it, can open up new opportunities for growth and deeper connection. If Aries can find balance in their relationships, between their own independence and their commitment to their partner, they'll experience a level of love and fulfillment that is more rewarding than any solo victory. So, there you have it, the savage truth about Aries. They don't always play fair, but they sure as hell get results. Their energy, drive, and ambition can move mountains, but it's essential for Aries to recognize that true success comes not just from achieving personal victory, but from lifting others along the way. They may not always win by the book, but if they learn to balance their intense nature with empathy, humility, and reflection, they'll find that their wins become even sweeter, and their journey becomes even more rewarding. If this video resonated with you, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Let's keep the conversation going in the comments below. What do you think about Aries and their approach to life? Share your thoughts, and I'll see you in the next video.